Can you hear me? Okay.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Cinema. We are critiquing something that is near and dear to my heart. We are critiquing Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, the new Netflix series. It just dropped last week, and we're here with kind of our opinions on it, both good and bad. I am Ethan.
I am Spencer.
I'm Tyler.
So I'll start with one of my positives. One thing I really like is that I was expecting we get a couple new species in this, or at least returns of very little seen species like the Ceratosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. But we actually don't get those. We get dinosaurs that we've seen before, but what I really liked is it actually gives the spotlight to some really cool kind of highlight dinosaurs from the last entry of the series, and they gave it to dinosaurs that we saw just a little bit of in Fallen Kingdom. Like Carnotaurus is actually the series' main antagonist. It's a Carnotaurus named Toro. And they also showed a lot of Sinoceratops, which was also in Fallen Kingdom, and that gets kind of its own kind of focused highlight episode. And how they handled each of those dinosaurs was really cool, because they not only give an explanation to why those animals were present in Fallen Kingdom but not Jurassic World, but they also kind of give insight to the specific behavior of that species within the park, so kind of a zoology sort of thing, which is something really cool that the series hasn't really done before. Like they explained that the Carnotaurus is like one of the park's more aggressive carnivores, to the point where they had to isolate it until it was ready for exhibition, and the Sinoceratops was kind of a new addition. And we actually see an herbivore get aggressive for the first time really in the series, which is really cool. I also did really like Bumpy, as much of a merchandising opportunity as she was.
What a cutie!
I think it's just her design. She's cute. She's got big eyes. She's got the short little flat face, kind of like a pug. She's cute and she just works.
Dinosaurs are in this show.
They are cool with a K, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, so Ethan was very excited for this show, and I'm not
Dinosaurs!
Roar, XD!
With every little bit of additional like marketing and trailers and things like that, I got more and more hesitant of this show. It's like, oh boy, this looks like something that would play on Nickelodeon. Like, here we go. And I totally went into it with that mentality. And the first few episodes, I'm not gonna lie, were pretty rough for me. I was like, oh, this is a children's show. He got into the park by beating a video game. Like, what is happening? But then once around the third episode, the events start to line up with Jurassic World. And I don't know, something just clicked for me where like all of the cliches and the characters and like the really kiddie moments kind of just like disappeared, and suddenly we had really genuine and sincere character development where I actually found myself caring about these characters instead of finding them obnoxious like I did in the first few episodes. Like, obviously it is still an animated series similar to like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, but like it's not just a children's show. It's something you really can appreciate as a fan of the franchise, and even like not, it's still a pretty well-written show. So I was very pleasantly surprised, because I'm not gonna lie, I was very worried after watching some of those trailers.
I was even a little bit worried, especially after seeing the human design. I thought that was really gonna bug me, because the kids, I was like the first promo images, I was like, oh,
Paw
they look
Patrol,
like they're for Paw
Patrol.
Exactly. But then
they're on the
double.
The main character just looks like Miles Morales, and then I got used to that, and then
Then it was okay.
He was fine. Yeah.
I want to talk about a point of mine. I'm gonna talk about money, and I'm gonna do so by giving you this little scenario. We have a producer and a marketer having a meeting together. The producer, we got a Jurassic movie coming out in a year or so, and we want everybody to go and see it, but we got one problem. Marketer's like, what's the problem? I think we're doing pretty good with trailers and stuff. Producer's like, not everyone's gonna see it. You know why? Because there's kids out there who think that Jurassic Park is too scary, and they can't see it or they're gonna have nightmares, and their moms think so too. That is baloney. We need to get those kids seeing that movie ASAP. What can we do, marketer? Well, we can. I guess we could make a mini-series on Netflix. Perfect, but that's still too scary. Can't do a live-action mini-series. It's too scary. And they could say, well, what if we animate it? Animate it? You're brilliant, Mike. You're brilliant, I tell you. So my point is, I feel like it was very merged, and the merge kind of felt a little off of how They were still trying to make it a kid series, but also maintain a seriousness that should be in Jurassic, media and entertainment.
It's
and
Jurassic
stuff like
Park.
that.
People die. Like a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of people.
yes, exactly. People die. That's like the thing. But they still are like trying to find that balance. It didn't sit quite right with me, and I think that was my biggest thing with this.
Money!
Money! I want money! Anyways.
The animation is actually, especially on the dinosaurs, really stellar. Like, it kind of looks like, a lot of it looks a lot like a really, really high-budget video game. Because, like, the T-Rex, the Indominus, the Raptors, they all look like their movie counterparts. A lot of it made me almost, like, kind of think of stop motion, just in how kind of organic the movement was and how realistic it was, but also kind of put against a more stylized background.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about like broad general serious things, but that's not normally what we do in these videos. We normally pick some incredibly minute and stupid detail, and we just talk about it for a few minutes. So I figured I'd put one of those in my notes. But I just wanted to take a second to talk about there's a moment where they're paddling through the caves in their canoes.
Which is another visually breathtaking scene.
Yeah, really, really pretty. And then we've got our what's the douchey kid's name?
That would be Kenji.
Kenji, that's the one. So Kenji's like, listen, only cool mofos in this boat, and he like nicknames their boat the Cool Kids Kayak.
Oh no.
It's not even a kayak, it's a canoe. So he intentionally wanted that K in there. So then he goes on to refer to his boat as the CKK. And if that already isn't like bad enough that he like calls it the CKK once, he proceeds to go on to call it like just CKK, the CKK, welcome to the CKK. And the girl's like, can you stop saying CKK? Please, it's making me uncomfortable. And he's like, what? You don't like the CKK? You don't like the slightly different spelling of the KKK? You don't like it? You don't like my boat, the CKK?
Are you not a supporter of the CKK?
But if there is literally one thing that I take from this experience of binge watching this entire show in one sitting is the CKK.
That's what you take. Okay.
I liked how they were able to line up the timeline from Jurassic World and this series and kind of mesh them together, but still make the timeline realistic. Like, there were points where you saw certain events from Jurassic World happening in this series, and the timing was
from a different perspective.
Yeah, of course, yeah, from a different perspective. But the timing was really good on that, and I thought that was really interesting. And I like those kind of stories where they take something that's already happened, an event that's already happened, and you give it a different perspective. You show it from someone else's angle. So that's something that I appreciated with this series.
One thing I think is important to talk about, especially when it comes to something like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, is the scientific accuracy aspect of it. How much does it represent? Like, because, when you take an animal and then completely design it wrong, or don't back up actual facts behind it, but then still call it that can be confusing to the general public. One thing I really like is this series mentions a lot of very real paleontological stuff. Like Darius, the main character, is kind of a paleontology nerd. This is my nitpick, is that this is really cool how they introduce it. Toro, the Carnotaurus, is chasing them, and he's running them down because it's a known scientific theory that Carnotaurus was probably one of the fastest large meat-eating dinosaurs. It could probably hit like borderline car speeds. Like, we're talking like 40 to 50 miles per hour. It was fast. But there's an actual study based off its biomechanics that couldn't make turns well. And so Darius says, as it's running them down and starting to gain on them, that they should hurry and zigzag and do sharp turns. And sure enough, that causes Toro to kind of, right as he's about to snap on him, tumble over and fall over. But then he did it 80,000 times. 1, 2, 3!
How could this happen to me?
Yeah.
Toro literally, he was an intimidating dinosaur villain. He was cool. But he literally fell so many times.
Oh yeah.
They thought, what's popular with the kiddies right now? You know that Fall Guys thing? Yeah, let's do that.
Literally
fall dinosaur.
So you move just a little bit and it's like, ah!
Let us rate it.
Oh yeah, well there's only stream it or skip it.
I would say if you have any kind of vested interest in the franchise, I'd say stream it. But if you're not a Jurassic Park fan, I wouldn't say you would be like, go out and play it. So
You can't tell, but I'm flipping him off right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the consensus here. So Jurassic fan equals stream it. Non-Jurassic fan equals.
it's fine if you skip it.
Okay, that's good.
I would say it's kind of similar to The Mandalorian in that aspect. If you're not interested in Star Wars, then
Ooh.
hey, it's true.
Ooh.
Yeah, stream it.
Watch it!
Alright, well, thank you everybody for going with us beyond the cinema. Smash, smash, munch, munch, Jurassic World! Camp Cretaceous.
Wow. That was just awful.